Welcome, Harvest Ambassadors. This is our first ever webinar that we're holding live here from Harvest Christian Fellowship in Riverside. My name's John Collins, and I'm the Executive Director for Harvest Ministries, and with me here is Mark Finnegan. Mark is going to be our coordinator for Harvest America, and so we're going to take you through this webinar and somewhat deputize you as Harvest Ambassadors, because we're trying to get the whole country involved in this kind of unique and what I think is a historic outreach to our nation with the gospel. And we're planning on being with you for about 30 minutes is all we think it'll take. If you have questions as we go through the process, I want to encourage you that you can go to Webinar Client. It's on the little toolbar there, and you'll see a questions bar. You can bring your question in there. Or if you'd like to ask further questions and get more information later on after the webinar, you can contact us at 1-800-CRUSADE. That'll be an operable number anytime during the process that you have some questions. And also you can always email Mark here at markf@harvest.org. I want to also let you know that we have members of our team that are out on the road, and from time to time you might want to be connecting with them. So Scott Camden is part of our ministry team. He's currently in Chicago with another one of our representatives, my son Brady Collins, and they're logged in and watching. We say hello to you guys. Hope everything's well in Chicago. Actually, this is pretty cool because we have people from all over the country that are logging into this webinar. And in fact, we've got 28 states represented, about 80 people signed up. And we've got people from Colorado, Delaware, Virginia, Kentucky, Iowa, Minnesota, New York, Oklahoma, Ohio, Arkansas, Indiana, on and on it goes, Georgia, South Carolina, Missouri, North Carolina. So we're hoping that by the time we're all done, we get every state represented, which would be really, really cool. Well, okay, so how are we going to do this? What do we want to accomplish in our webinar? First of all, we're going to take you through a PowerPoint that will be accessible to you online. We're going to make it available under our blog and in the resources tab as well. So this will be a great tool that you'll be able to take with you and to point pastors to, or leaders, or whomever you're addressing, with the opportunity to become a host church. And that's really what, as an ambassador, we're asking you to do. We're asking you to just, as a volunteer, go from site to site in your community, churches large and small, and anybody that might have an interest, to just be a host. And to take this feed on August 26th from Anaheim Stadium, where Pastor Greg will get up and give the message of the gospel. So, little history, just so that you know where we're from. Harvest America has been birthed really out of Harvest Crusades. We've been doing Harvest Crusades around the Southern California and throughout the nation, and in Australia and New Zealand for 22 years now. We've seen some 4.5 million people make professions of, or come to the actual events, and some 375,000 people have actually made professions of faith. So that's been a great blessing to be a part of. But we feel like we're at this stage and point in time where God's opening up a door that will allow us to take the gospel into even more areas and to reach more people. Our goal for this year is to get 1,000 host sites, primarily churches, where they will host a crusade of their own, so to speak, and some will do their own live worship. Some might bring in a guest artist. Others will just watch live what's happening at Anaheim Stadium. But at the moment that Pastor Greg gets up to present the gospel, we're all going to join together, churches all across the country, and link together and then hear a presentation of the gospel. So if we do our job right, and if people have prayed and brought their friends, we should see a huge harvest. There's a potential. If we get 1,000 churches on board, the potential is that we could reach 500,000 people with the gospel. That's just incredible. And out of that, who knows how many might make professions of faith. So we're, as you might understand, excited by this possibility. So what is Harvest America in general? Well, it's important that we emphasize that it's one day. It's an event on one day, a catalytic event that Christians across the country can gather in simultaneously. That's what makes it unique from other online presentations of the gospel. There's a lot of opportunities online with the gospel, but the Harvest America one it's built around an event, a point in time that the whole church can be looking towards, so that they can mobilize their people to bring them into their own churches and to hear the gospel. Secondly, it's an opportunity for the church to work together, to be one united church focused on the essential message of Orthodox Christianity. It's going to be a very powerful but simple message that Pastor Greg will give, and that's the last part of it. It's one message. We're pointing people towards this simple, life-changing proclamation that they'll hear from Pastor Greg on August 26th from Anaheim Stadium. So that's in essence what Harvest America is, and we want you all to be aware of that and to know it and about it and to feel comfortable with it. And the other thing we want to encourage you on is to really be acquainted with the website, because the website is the tool, the primary tool with how we'll be able to mobilize churches all around the country. That's a big, daunting task. There are, I think, something like 350,000 churches in our nation. So how do we get everybody on the same page? Well, one of the ways in which we can do that is through the World Wide Web. And so we've put together what I think is a very unique and a very functional website. It's at harvestamerica.com. So as you're out talking about Harvest America, this is where you really want to be pointing people. It's going to be a place where people can pray, and we'll give you more information on that as we go. It's going to provide promotional tools for you. It'll provide training. We have one of our members, Scott Camden, is kind of our host on the site, and he'd take you through various elements of training that you as a person in a church, a local church, might need to know to host a successful event. So we're going to have all of that there. There'll also be information on how to get resources and to be completely equipped. We'll also have the opportunity on there, and this is one of the primary things that we want to talk about today, and that's how you can become a host site, or how a church can become, and that's as a Harvest Ambassador, which you want to really have the information at your disposal to be able to encourage pastors to sign on and become a host. So, Mark, explain to our ambassadors how a pastor or a leader or somebody in a church can get their church involved by going to the site.
Yeah, and this is exactly what you're going to be doing as a Harvest Ambassador. You're going to be going to these churches. For instance, right now we have about well over 200 churches that are going to be host sites for Harvest America. But there's a small team that we have here at Harvest. So we're looking for the Harvest Ambassador to maybe put a notebook together of churches that you can visit in your area. But what you're going to do is point everybody to harvestamerica.com to become a host site. We're not just asking churches to become a host and then we leave them on their own. We're going to take them through the process, and that's all going to happen at harvestamerica.com. So what will happen is you will ask a church if they consider being a host. They'll click on the Become a Host site. Once they do that, it's going to give them an opportunity to fill out a portion where they're going to pick what we call a Harvest Coordinator, somebody that can be the liaison between their church and Harvest America staff. What they will do is they will log in. They will enter in their church, which will then go automatically up on to our Harvest America map. That way, everybody that's being pushed to the website will be able to see where the nearest host location is. From that point, the Harvest Coordinator will have a login account where they will have a dashboard, what we are calling My Planner. And this will take them step by step through the whole process of mobilizing their church for the outreach on August the 26th. So some of the things that they'll be having on the My Planner is choosing satellite feeds, promotional materials, the follow-up process. All of these things will be online, so they don't feel like they're on their own, but we're literally coming alongside each church, helping them through this process. one of the things that we'll be doing with each coordinator for Harvest America for that church is doing a webinar, much like we are doing right now, but it'll be video. So we'll come alongside, we'll be doing training, how to promote, how to equip your people to share their faith and to bring someone that needs to hear the gospel. This will all be done online through the video training at harvestamerica.com.
Yeah, it's awesome stuff. And look, it's, you know, the church ought to be doing this all the time anyway. So every church that you talk with, they should have a desire to do evangelism. What we've found is that a lot of them just don't have the tools, and they don't really understand the process. And so by hosting these webinars each month, we'll do them the first Wednesday of every month other than in July, because that's July 4th, but it'll be July 11th. We'll host a webinar to train that coordinator, to encourage them in the process, because there's steps to take as they go through this process that we'll want to give them a little personal attention. And so I think the webinars will really be a great feature. Now, there's another great feature that you want to be promoting as you go to a pastor. And we found that as we've done this, people have really responded to it. And it's regarding prayer. In fact, Billy Graham once said that when somebody asked him, you know, what's the key to holding an evangelistic outreach? And he said there was actually 3 things. And the first one was to pray, and the second one was to pray, and the third one was to pray. So we can't do enough prayer. And look, I want to encourage you that prayer works. We've seen it time and time again in 22 years. When the church prays, things happen. The harvest is plenteous, but the laborers are few. Pray ye therefore that the Lord of the harvest would send forth laborers into his harvest. So when we read that passage, we understand the first thing we need to do is pray. Pray that God raises up laborers and people. We've been praying for you as ambassadors. You're a part of that fruit. And we've had some 80 ambassadors sign up. I hope to see hundreds by the time this is done. But regarding prayer, you know, when you go into a pastor's office and you talk to them about prayer, one of the things you can do is point them to the website. And on the website, we've devised what we call a prayer cloud. Now, everybody knows about the cloud today. Information's up in the cloud. You know, it's just out there somewhere. And we who aren't techno geeks don't quite understand where it all goes, but it's there. And but the concept of having a name in the cloud, having something out there that is tangible, we get. And so we've developed on the site the prayer cloud. And within that cloud are names of people that have been put on that site to be prayed for. They're non-believers that don't know the Lord that we're praying for. Right now, they think there's some 8,200 names. I'd love to see us get 50,000 names on that cloud. But here's the beautiful part of it. As those names, as you sit in front of your computer and look at those names, they change. And you could sit there for hours and watch different names come through the screen, and you can pray for each and every one. That's what we need to be telling the pastors to do right now, is to get their congregation to be praying and to be thinking about individuals who they can bring then to the August 26th date to hear the gospel where they could be saved. The other aspect that you'll find in our prayer cloud right next to it is the prayer map. And it's kind of interesting to go on there because that shows you all around the country where people are praying from. And you can actually go and scroll over those names and see actual cities and places where they're at. So I'd love to see, again, the whole country just covered with those little red dots praying for our nation. So can't speak enough about prayer, and that's to be one of the first things you lead with when talking about the Harvest America event to a pastor. Now, Mark, let's talk a little bit more about some of the promotional tools that we're going to make available. And we'll make all these tools that you see online available for your access. We'll send you a sample kit if you email Mark and ask him for that sample kit. We'll send them to you free of charge so that you can go and make a presentation and feel like you can actually show the pastor what's available. So Mark, take him through the promotional tools.
Yeah, some of the promotional materials that we'll have will all be in the portion of harvestamerica.com publicly under resources, but then also for the churches that are participating, it'll be in their planner where they can actually order all of these printed materials. We're not expecting the churches to print all these materials themselves. We have the designers, the artwork already done, And so what we'll do is ship it out to the church. But some of the items that we're going to be having, one is the prayer bookmarker. You can see it on your screen there on the right-hand side. It looks like a bookmarker. This will be great to get into your hands as you go into the church. As John was talking about the prayer cloud, this is going to give people an opportunity in their church to be praying for those that they want to see come to faith in Christ. So here's how it'll work. We will give a church that's participating in Harvest America enough of these prayer bookmarkers to give to every person on a Sunday morning service. The senior pastor will then get up, ask everybody to, during the service, write down 5 names of people that they want to see come to faith in Christ. Then to stick this in their Bible, and every day when they do their devotion, to pray for these people that they're going to be bringing on August 26th to the host site. But then also at the bottom, you can see it there on the picture, it's actually perforated. And so this will be a tear-off where they can actually give it back to the pastor. But also on this area, we have where it says go to harvestamerica.com, where they can take these names and put them in the prayer cloud, as John was talking about. So this is probably one of our most popular pieces. Some of the other pieces you see on there is posters. We'll have these available where we'll send them out to the churches, as well as invites that people can give to those that they're wanting to invite out to the Harvest America. And also we'll have a DVD that will be downloadable, or we'll mail it out to the churches that'll have the promo video. So we'll have all of these resources available for the churches, but we will send you a packet. That way you can demonstrate, show to the pastor that you're talking to as a Harvest ambassador, and all you need to do is email me at markf@harvest.org. Email me your address, and we'll do a ship out a little sample packet to you.
Great stuff. Another thing we can encourage you to do as you're out knocking on doors and seeing if pastors in your community are interested. Maybe there's a number of them that are interested that would actually like to come to a meeting. And maybe you get 5 or 10 of them that say, yeah, we'd like to host these in our church. And so we are willing to come and to host that meeting for you and to be present and to explain all that they need to know. So if you can put together a meeting, contact Mark, let him know. Got a meeting in Cincinnati, Ohio. We've got 20 pastors that are willing to do this. We'd love to come and make that presentation. We also have some representatives that are working with us. One is named Steve Noble. He's from Raleigh, North Carolina. So if you're in that area, Steve is willing to go and to help you and to make a presentation to pastors if you can put it together. Down in Dallas, Texas, we have a good friend of ours, Dan Southern, who is also in that same way willing to come and make presentation to pastors. So if you put together a meeting like that, as I said, contact Mark, and we'll make sure we have a representative there. Even if we need to come out from California, we're happy to do that and to make sure that we get as many churches on as possible. Now, one of the questions you're going to confront right away is what do we do for follow-up? Follow-up is a big part of the crusade process. Churches want to know what happens when a new believer or somebody who makes a profession of faith in their church, what happens next? Well, we're hoping that the churches take on the discipleship role, and they take those new believers under their wing and they help them to grow in their faith. And we're prepared to give them materials that will enable that process to continue. So Pastor Greg has just written a new discipleship book called Start to Follow, and it's a companion piece to our Start Bible. Our Start Bible is the thing that we give every new believer that comes forward. In it, it has notes for a new believer to follow about the fundamentals of the faith and the important steps they need to take as they've just made this commitment to Christ. It's a great tool, and so we make sure every new believer gets one in their hands. And so churches that are going to be participating with us, if they want these materials, they'll have access to them through the website and through our resources. And then they'll also have access to that discipleship book that is just being published by Nav Press. We've also have some exciting news that we can report is that Nav Press is also putting together for us an online discipleship tool so that anybody can access, and we'll be able to put that up on our website. So anything that a church needs to help a person grow to full maturity in the faith, we'll have available for them. And so just make sure that pastors know that, and they can access that material via the resources on the web. Another important thing that you're going to have to address, and you'll get these questions because we've got them, and that's the technical aspects of what we're doing. Really, this is the first time in history that we can become a church without walls, so to speak. It could have been done in the past and has been done in limited ways with satellite technology, but satellite, for the most part, was always too expensive. In recent years, of course, the internet has made it available to do what we're doing right here. And so what we're doing is leveraging all of these technologies that now have become much more affordable. And I want to make sure that you're aware of how a church can plug in and receive the message and to have a degree of confidence to know that that stream or that satellite feed is going to be a secure feed, so that you're not in a position of having, halfway through a message and then all of a sudden not having one. We've got a lot of backups in place, and a lot of the technology enables us to ensure that you'll get that message from start to finish. So here to help me explain this is Brendan Stark. Brendan's one of our IT men here at Harvest, and he's going to tell you a little bit about how the satellite, which will be available on Dish Network through SkyAngel, through DirecTV and the NRB network, and also through free-to-air satellite. And then there'll also be the options of internet streaming through either a web browser that's just on your computer, or through some new equipment that's been made available through Netgear at amazing low price for just $100, $95, I think. And then the Roku box is a popular one that's available through Amazon.com as well. And Brendan, tell the folks and give them some confidence that this is not a complicated process, and they can actually bring a good, dedicated signal into their church and have confidence that the message will go uninterrupted.
Yeah, pretty much what we've seen over the last few years is the church is taking the lead on using technology to get messages to different campuses. So really the multi-campus movement has been something we've been studying and learning about, and we feel that we can use this now to do Harvest America. So the two ways churches are really doing this is with satellite and also through the internet with streaming devices. So fortunately, we have some partners to get the event on Dish Network and DirecTV. So that's pretty much a slam dunk. If you have either of those services, you can just play it on your projector or your screens. There's also free-to-air satellite. A lot of churches already have that installed. That's basically a dish that they have on the roof that just pulls down what's being sent already to satellites. So from the Anaheim Stadium, we'll have a satellite truck bouncing off a satellite to all the places we're going to be encoding it. So basically, you'll be grabbing the feed straight from the satellite, and you can play it uninterrupted. For a standard def dish, it's about $500, so it's not really that expensive.
And why would it be important for a church maybe to consider this? Because obviously it's cheaper if they want to just sign up to Dish or DirecTV. Mm-hmm. However, there's a monthly cost. But with the free-to-air, it's more event-oriented. And because of that, a lot of churches are hosting events like this that if they were to get a free-to-air satellite, then they'd be equipped to do it. As Brendan said, many of them already have it. So this is an option that you might have, as you're talking to pastors, you might have them look into it, because I think it's use that they'll get beyond Harvest America.
Yeah, and then the internet streaming is changing every day. So pretty much everyone has watched Netflix, I think, on their TV or on some device at home. So that's kind of what the model that we're following. So you can watch it on just a computer or a laptop through a browser. That's an easy way to do it. We really like the quality of these Netgear Neo TVs. A lot of multi-site churches are starting to roll these out. It's like for $100, it's what would have cost $10,000. It's really amazing. And then Rokus are extremely popular, and new devices are coming out every basically week, and a whole bunch are going to come out in April. So we're testing all of those, And once we find the ones that we really love, that's what we'll make available to everyone. Now here's some of the geeky talk, so I'll just go through these real quick. For the internet connection, you'll need a 10 meg connection for the download, and it needs to be dedicated, no one else on wireless at the location. A fast computer, something in the last couple of years, probably be pretty standard. It's going to be a 16:9 aspect ratio, so make sure your projectors and everything don't scrunch it or squish it and make it look weird. Every site will need a technical contact, so once we identify them, we'll be helping them to get everything in line. The two networks we'll be using to stream are Akamai and Amazon EC2. Those are the two biggest ones, so you're not going to have to worry about our delivery going down. And then just kind of a thought, have different options for backup. So have a couple of these different devices in place, whichever you choose. And then we're also going to make the Saturday message downloadable, an MP4 file for local playback. So if something does happen, if your internet totally goes down, you still have something to show. So we're not going to leave you out in the cold.
All right, so there's plenty of technical support that'll be here if you need it. We'll have our staff available to answer questions. You can go online and get information that you'll need. And one of the things you also might want to emphasize with, as you're talking to pastors and host sites, is that on August 5th, which is a Sunday, 3 weeks prior to the crusade, we're going to be hosting a live prayer meeting in the same way that we'll be doing the actual crusade. So this will give all the churches that want to an opportunity to check their gear and make sure it's up and running and to handle any difficulties at that time. And we'd encourage, obviously, the churches to hold a prayer event in their church and to take the feed. We'll have some messages from Pastor Greg and from Pastor James McDonald and from Dr. Jack Graham in Dallas. They're going to encourage us in the whole process of the crusade. So, but that'll be a great opportunity for you at that time to test the site. Well, at this point, we've pretty much covered what we want to cover today, and we're pretty much on time. Do we have a couple of questions that we can answer?
Yeah, here's one. How many interested pastors does it take to justify a visit from Harvest staff?
Oh, that's a good question. And I would say if you get a handful of 5 or 6, we'd probably make that trip. And of course, it might depend on just scheduling and things that could prevent it. But look, if contact Mark if there's an interest, and we'll make it happen. And we've got boots on the ground here that we can get out there and make sure that meeting is effective. So yeah, if you can get 5 or 6 pastors, we'll go.
All right. That's about it.
Okay. Well, hey, thank you for joining us at this first ever Harvest Ambassador webinar and webinar. I've got to learn to say that. We'll be doing this every month for the churches and for the coordinators. So as a Harvest Ambassador, you're welcome to sit in on those, and I would encourage you to encourage the pastors and the people that you're talking with to join in as well. So thank you for being a part of this, and God bless you, and keep praying as together we're going to harvest America. God bless you.